Hi, everyone. Welcome. I'm Rebecca Harris. Thanks so much for joining today. We're so excited to be partnered up with WILG to present to you this SBA Loan Group new program, really special program, really exciting program that we think many law firms, sole practitioners, larger practices can benefit from. We hope that you can take away some messaging today that can help you, come through as we round the corner outside of this crazy year and a half that we've all had. So we're excited to tell you about this program. I'm happy to answer any questions. I'll keep the presentation short. I might fly through some slides. I'm sorry if I'm going too fast. I want to just make use of your time today. So reserve any questions for the end or add them during the presentation in the Q&A section. Happy to answer any question online in this format or afterwards as well. Again, my name is Rebecca Harris. I'm the Vice President of Marketing for Business Funding Group. We do business as SBA Loan Group, which is how you know us here. We are one of the largest packagers of SBA loans in the country, and it's just truly our passion. So we're excited to talk to you today about those new programs. All right, so brief discussion. So this is what we're going to cover today. So we'll just talk about who we are as an organization. Just of course, in a time coming off of a pandemic, just giving you some helpful advice, given that we serve so many attorney clients, on how to just manage your practice through this period of persistent disruption and how to use SBA to really grow your practice. Sometimes in the face of adversity is opportunity. And so perhaps it's a time here to look at your opportunity to grow your practice using SBA in ways maybe you hadn't considered before. And then, of course, as we discussed already, covering these new limited time SBA programs that are offered right now. All right, so we're SBA Loan Group. We're a division of Business Funding Group, as I had mentioned. BFG was founded in 2011. We have 4 primary operating partners. Stephen Rabinovici is our chairman, and Jared Presson, who many of you may know, founded the legal lending practice. He's been doing legal lending for 20 plus years, absolute expert in it, and couldn't join us today, unfortunately. We have helped clients with over $750 million in SBA loans and much more than that, and non-SBA loans as well. Experience management team, we're in this for the long term to help business owners with a myriad of financial products. Of course, our largest segment that we serve is attorneys, having developed an expertise over the years and having helped so many law firms. All right, so this is a slide that sort of almost doesn't even need to be included, because I think all of you know when case inventories are down, case intakes are down, it can lead to a period of extended uneven cash flows. Of course, uneven cash flow is terrible for any business, and it's difficult to manage around, but it's bad for law practices in a unique way, because if it takes between 25 months and 4 years to settle a case after having a new case, you're already kind of used to uneven cash flows. Add in a pandemic where you're not bringing on new cases, and that problem can compound, and it can compound in a way where you're not going to see the true effect of it for maybe 2-3 years from now. So now's the time to kind of think about, managing around those challenges to manage your practice. So things to keep in mind. So how to manage, through this persistent disruption. Building up your case inventory, ensure your case inventory is never used as a cash management tool. I think that goes without saying too. Other ways that you can help, really, really bolster your firm, your practice is to invest in technologies. We've seen so many of our clients do this in case management systems that can really help build in more efficiency. Okay, so this is one of the things that we hope that you take away from this session, if nothing else. So borrow money when you do not need it. When you do need the money, it's either very expensive or you cannot get it at all. So think ahead. This is all about planning. Banks, of course, really change their credit criteria. You'll hear more about that later too. They change who and when and how much they want to lend to in periods of uncertainty. And of course, we're certainly in one now. Even though you're seeing so much mixed data coming out of Washington, it's still a very much an uncertain climate for banks. It's important to think ahead, no matter what, when you're planning for whether or not you need an extra infusion of cash now, or you're thinking about what it's going to look like 6 months from now. a year from now, 2 years from now, especially in law practices. Okay, so how to use SBA. These are kind of our three mantras. This really applies to any business, but certainly we'll address it here with law practices today. So use SBA to protect your business, to grow your business, and to build long-term equity. And we'll dive into each of those. So the typical business paradigm. So most businesses can either get bank debt, go the venture equity debt route, bring in some outside partners, of course, go the public equity route. That's not always the case, right, with managing a law practice. So why that typical paradigm doesn't work today? There's really no public market option for attorneys. Banks don't understand contingent assets. I'm sure many of you on this webinar today already know that. It is hard to borrow conventional loans during periods of economic turmoil and hard to project future revenue and profits in times like this. Certainly taking into account reduced intakes during a pandemic. And most non-conventional loans demand huge interest rates. Continuing on with those issues. So banks are very reluctant to do conventional loans, and in certain times, they dramatically increase the credit criteria. So for example, if a bank would have given you $1 million 2 years ago, that's probably going to be reduced to, and you might have the same structure going on, you have the same projections going on in the future, but it's their reluctance because of the uncertainty of the climate. So banks make those loans to you have many covenants. So they can, a covenant means, of course, you know what a covenant means, but they can withdraw a loan or cancel a loan, call a loan for any number of reasons. SBA does offer some insulation against that risk. So as a result, banks will only finance stellar performers. They usually lend less than your financials can support. And of course, we just talked about they impose a lot of conditions and cancel loans for a number of different reasons. So issues with venture loans, although there is a place, however, for venture loans, they do have a role. Some practices, high interest, use of funds is limited, and covenants on your operating expenditures. So SBA loans we want to propose to you today are a potential great solution for your long-term financing needs. Like we said before, think ahead. So what is an SBA loan? So the U.S. Small Business Administration, one of two profitable government agencies, really the entire mission of the agency is to promote small business growth. 70% of the economic activity in the country, or more than that, is generated by small businesses. The U.S. Small Business Administration defines a small business as any business with less than $5 million per revenue after tax profit. Per year of after-tax profit over 2 years. So commercial banks that follow SBA rules get a 90% government insurance. So that 90% is an increase over the 75% typical, and that's part of that special program that's being offered now. So, the bank, SBA doesn't make the loan to you. They did in the case of PPP, that was different. Hopefully most of you who were eligible got that forgivable loan. A bank makes a loan, the SBA gives a guarantee to the bank. So this increased guarantee certainly does incentivize the banks to loan in your favor. So SBA make it easier to borrow money. This is a little bit deceptive. They do have a 500-page rule book. It's not so easy, but that's where our company comes into play. Having a really fundamental understanding of that rule book and knowing how to help really, help law firms work within and through those guidelines, those 500+ page guidelines from the SBA is part of our expertise. And of course, banks feel more protected, when they have that 90% guarantee. So who qualifies? A lot of attorneys qualify. So character, we like to talk about the 3 C's. So credit score, the banks in our network really are wanting to focus on borrowers with credit scores, personal credit scores of 680 or more. We can work with less, but it's difficult. So credit history, how has your payment history been? Certain events can disqualify. There's a couple things that the SBA cannot look around. And that is one, most importantly, a prior government loan default. So if you've had a student loan from whenever it was, and that loan was defaulted on, that's one thing that we can't work around. We can work around many issues. We just ask for transparency with our clients. You let us know whatever the issue is. We can most of the time figure out a way. That's the one thing we kind of can't work on is a federal loan default. Eligible industries, almost everything. So ability to repay, they just want to see your tax returns. Every bank is going to want to see your tax returns, see your payment history. And of course, we can do a very quick call, just back of the envelope math on your cash flow, just to see whether or not there's cash flow available for debt service. So loan terms. So we can help facilitate between a $200,000 and a $14 million loan, between 10 and 25-year terms for working capital or for real estate. Interest rates vary. It's 5.25% to 6% now, depending on that loan structure that you get. There are no prepayment penalties, and they cannot be canceled for any other reason other than non-payment. Now, this is the interesting part. Most of the time, our attorney clients do end up, you have a great year and you can pay back a loan early. It's incredible. So we have multiple clients that have borrowed multiple times. And in fact, you can have more than one SBA loan at a time. All right, so this is part of the promotions that are being offered now for you. So close a new loan, a working capital loan or a real estate loan. So that's a 10-year or 25-year loan before September 30th. And the first $9,000 of your payment will be made for you for 3 months. It's not a deferment. It is an absolute free money, pretty incredible offer. So fees waived. So the SBA guarantee fee, the guarantee fee is a standard closing cost that all borrowers pay. It is in typical times. It is how the SBA funds itself to make those guarantees to banks for those loans. That 2% guarantee fee is being waived right now, which can represent $25,000 savings and approximately $1 million borrowed. And then that increased guarantee, which I've already spoken about, which provides banks a 90% guarantee of the loan value that they make to us, so that they have much less risk on their books. And of course, that helps reduce all of that concern that banks have during turbulent times. Okay, so like we just said too, this is a limited opportunity. So it's loans that close before September 30th or when the funds run out. Going back to that slide, really, this just says we can close a loan probably quicker than anybody out there that I know of. For organized borrowers, the quickest we can close a loan is in 60 days. That is much, much quicker than industry standard. All of that said, that means in order to start on a loan closing procedure, we would have to have all of the documentation and paperwork in advance before the end of July. So if you're even remotely considering what your options are, if you want to just poke around and see, am I eligible? How much would I qualify for? The time to have that conversation is sooner rather than later to take advantage of this limited time offer. So let's dive into how to use SBA, like we said, to protect, grow, and build equity in your business. So think ahead. Remember that mantra. It's important for all businesses to have 6 months of working capital at a minimum on the sidelines, just dry powder. Cash for opportunities is even better. How can you grow with SBA financing? Internal growth. Law firms know more than anything how important advertising costs are, and advertising costs are not cheap. And so acquiring a new business acquisitions, acquiring a book of business, like we mentioned before, building out technology and infrastructure, hiring new attorneys, hiring other staff, support staff, and then acquiring competitors in related businesses. Real estate goes without saying. The chairman, Steve Rubinovici of our company, has said many times, and I think it's really sound advice, that the only regret that he's had in his decades of experience helping many small and medium-sized businesses grow, taking many businesses public, working in investment banking, and then of course over the last decade helping small business owners through Business Funding Group, is real estate, right? He's saying, listen, the one thing I regret not doing is investing in real estate earlier on. And so, many law practices rent, and that's totally normal. But when there are commercial real estate opportunities available, and there are incredible opportunities that the SBA offers, potentially even buy real estate with no money down, it is something worth considering. Besides that, you can also buy, as long as you operate, you occupy 50% plus 1 square foot of the real estate that you purchase with an SBA loan, you can use that other space that you have in your commercial property to generate income as a rental. All right, so equity. So 100% financing is available for real estate purchases. That's what we just were mentioning, having to occupy 50% or more. The real estate purchase becomes the collateral in that loan, and you can even get additional working capital with a building purchase. So, normally working capital loans are short-term loans. A traditional 7A working capital loan with SBA is 10 years, which is a great term. But you can actually, if you're getting a working capital on top of a building purchase, you're getting a working capital loan amortized over 25 years, which is pretty incredible. And again, no prepayment penalties there. So rent goes nowhere, ownership builds equity. Something to definitely keep in mind. All right, again, this is another mantra that comes from Steve. Loves his quotes, that man. I love him. Prior proper planning prevents poor performance. I've heard this many hundreds of times. I don't even need to read the slide, but listen, it's about thinking ahead. It's about planning for the future. It's about looking at those books and seeing, thinking about that year, 1 year, 2 years from now, thinking about how to grow the firm, how to really build long-term wealth. All right, so Jared Preston, as mentioned, is the president of our company. This number 860-431-2568. This is you can reach somebody on our team, 10-minute phone call just to really briefly run through your scenario, what concerns you, what issues you're worried about. And we can just take a look at those tax return numbers and just poke around and see, is there something here that you can think about? Is there an opportunity that's being provided by the federal government now to help stimulate economic growth? We love attorneys. We understand practices. We understand contingent assets. And we've fostered a really close relationship with a number of banks that also understand where you come from. They understand in a unique way. And we have really, really worked on those relationships to help maximize the amount that we can get for our clients, our attorney clients, and close those loans as quickly as possible. Lot to take in there. I hope it was very helpful. My name again is Rebecca, so you can see the convention here, steve@sbaloangroup.com. I'm Rebecca, REBECCA at SBALoanGroup.com, and you can reach our team anytime at 860-431-2568. That concludes my presentation. I hope we have some questions here. I'm going to pop in Caitlin and see. I have some questions here in the chat. Okay, so we have an attendee who already got an EIDL loan. Interesting. Okay, so they have an EIDL loan and they're just checking to see if there are any other options. So I will say EIDL, the Economic Injury Disaster Loan, is a wonderful loan. We actually recommend all of our clients get it if they're eligible and they could use the funds. They could always pay it back too. We recommend it because it's such a low interest rate over a 30-year period. Kind of an incredible opportunity. Because you have an EIDL loan does not prevent you from getting a long-term SBA loan, like the ones we've just discussed, a 7A or 504 loan. In fact, it doesn't even impede your ability to apply for a new SBA loan. You can have those multiple SBA loans, including that EIDL loan. So I'm happy to get back to you with details on that specific question. Okay. And then I don't see any other questions coming in. I'm happy to answer any at all in the Q&A section. Just to reiterate, anyone on our team is happy to answer any questions for you if you want to ask that in a more private forum. We're here for you. No pressure, no sales pitch. That's not really what it is that we're going for here. We just want to really educate you on what's available, as there are so many options available right now as part of COVID relief. Do other states, here's a question, do other states have business grants like California? That is certainly true. Business grants come in so many shapes, size, and packages from both private and public organizations. There's almost too many. It would be way outside of my expertise to dive into, but absolutely, certainly. I think there's not a state that doesn't have a business grant program that's available to any number of different type of business owners. But how do I say that? There are so many business grant opportunities, again, both private and public, that they're too numerous to count, but I think it's definitely worth, I can ping you on the side and we can chat about how to dive in researching some of those opportunities that are available to you. But sure, certainly, as we're saying, just like SBA, this is the time to poke around, see what's available to you, see what you can take advantage of to plan for the future. And Caitlin, I don't see any other questions coming in right now. I will conclude this webinar unless I see some other questions coming in right now. And thank you all for your time.
Oh, perfect. Well, thank you, Rebecca. Yeah, this was recorded, so we're gonna pop this up somewhere on our website too, so people can reference it again. And we have a link so people can fill out the form that goes directly to you also, so you guys can capture that. So I can send that to everybody, and everybody that participated will be getting that Uber Eats voucher from you shortly here today, I believe.
Thank you.
So perfect. Well, we will wrap it up. Thank you everybody for attending, and we will talk to you soon, Rebecca.
Excellent. Sounds great. Thanks, everybody.
All right. Bye.